The train arrived before dawn. Cold fog rolled across the platform as young women stepped down, boots touching the concrete with nervous hesitation. Most were barely 18. They had grown up hearing about duty, sacrifice, and serving the nation, but nothing had prepared them for the reality waiting ahead. Anna adjusted her cap and looked around. Rows of uniforms, quiet faces. No cheering crowds, only orders shouted through the morning air. They weren't sent to the front as infantry. Officially, their roles were support: communication operators, anti-aircraft helpers, radio technicians, nurses, clerks. But the war was changing faster than anyone expected. At first, training seemed ordinary. Typing drills, radio codes, medical lessons, endless marching under gray skies. Some joked to hide fear, others tried to appear stronger than they felt. Friendships formed quickly. When you shared uncertainty, strangers became family. But rumors spread, cities falling, casualty numbers rising, supplies running thin. One evening, during a blackout drill, the instructor stopped and looked directly at them. "The front line is closer than you think," the words echoed. Suddenly, the war no longer felt distant. Air raid sirens began to sound more often. Nights turned sleepless. The women learned to move quickly, carrying equipment through darkness while bombers roared overhead. Anna watched explosions in the distance and realized something simple yet terrifying. They might never go home unchanged. Still, many stayed determined. They believed they were helping keep order amid chaos, keeping communications alive, guiding wounded soldiers, organizing supplies that meant the difference between life and death. But deep down, each of them wondered the same question: were they truly prepared for what was coming? As winter approached, new orders arrived, and everything began to change.
Subscribe to the channel and don't miss new war documentaries.
Winter arrived fast. The cold wasn't just uncomfortable, it changed everything. Radios froze, batteries failed, and long nights made every sound feel dangerous. The women who once trained in calm fields now worked under constant pressure. Anna and her unit were moved farther east. Officially, it was still a support position, far from direct fighting. But the distance between safety and danger was shrinking every day. The first time they heard artillery up close, conversation stopped. The ground vibrated softly, like thunder that never ended. Their job was communication. Orders came in at all hours: coordinates, requests for supplies, emergency medical calls. Voices on the radio were younger than expected. Tired, rushed, sometimes shaking. At night, they worked by dim lamps, decoding messages while explosions flashed on the horizon. One evening, a convoy arrived carrying wounded soldiers. The silence that followed was worse than the noise. Some of the women helped unload stretchers, realizing that war no longer existed as stories or newspapers. It was right in front of them. Anna noticed how quickly everyone changed. The jokes disappeared. Letters from home were read quietly, folded carefully, hidden away. Sleep became rare. During a late shift, the radio suddenly went silent. A long pause. Then a frantic voice broke through, asking for support that couldn't come in time. No one said anything afterward. The next morning, their commander gathered them and spoke calmly. "You're closer to the front now. Stay ready." From that moment, fear mixed with determination. They learned to move faster, to stay calm when alarms sounded, to keep their hands steady even when their hearts raced. The war was no longer something happening somewhere else. It had reached them, and deep inside, each of them knew the next step might change their lives forever. Snow fell silently that night. The radio station felt smaller than usual, filled with the quiet hum of equipment and the low voices of tired operators. Anna rubbed her hands together to stay warm while staring at the map covered in pins and lines. Places she had only heard about, places that now felt dangerously close. Outside, engines moved in the dark. No one said it aloud, but everyone sensed something coming. The shift started like any other. Messages, coordinates, routine reports. Then the line cracked with sudden urgency. Voices shouted over interference, units requesting help, locations changing faster than they could write. Anna's fingers moved quickly across the code sheets. The tension in the room grew heavier with every minute. Then the lights flickered. Somewhere nearby, an explosion shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. For a moment, everything froze. Eyes met, breaths paused, and then training took over. They kept working. Another blast followed. Closer. The commander ordered half the team to prepare for evacuation, but the radio operators stayed. Communication had to continue. Anna listened to a voice calling through static. Young, frightened, repeating coordinates again and again. She answered calmly, her voice steadier than she felt, guiding them as best she could. Outside, sirens began to howl. Through the bunker entrance she could see flashes lighting the snowy sky. War had arrived at their doorstep. The women worked side by side, no longer thinking about fear or doubt. Only focus. Only responsibility. Hours passed like minutes. Finally, the message came. Retreat. Positions confirmed. Equipment shutdown ordered. The room fell quiet. Anna removed her headset slowly. The silence felt unreal after so much noise. Around her, others did the same. Exhausted, older, somehow, changed. As they stepped outside, dawn was beginning. The snow reflected pale light across the frozen ground. Smoke drifted in the distance. The world looked calm again, but nothing felt the same. She realized then that war wasn't just about battles. It was about moments that forced people to grow up too fast. They had arrived months earlier as uncertain young women learning new skills. Now they walked forward with steady steps, carrying memories no training could prepare them for. No one spoke. They didn't need to. They all understood the same thing. The war had reached them. And they had survived. But the night that changed everything.
Subscribe to the channel and don't miss new war documentaries.
The road west felt endless. Trucks moved slowly through snow and mud, carrying equipment, wounded soldiers, and exhausted operators who barely spoke anymore. The air smelled of smoke and cold metal. Every village they passed looked emptier than the last. Anna sat quietly, holding her gloves in her lap. Around her, the women who once laughed during training now stared out at the passing landscape. They had survived the worst night of their lives, but survival didn't feel like victory. It felt heavy. Their unit was reassigned again, farther from the collapsing front, closer to a temporary command post. The radio work continued, but everything had changed. Messages were shorter, orders sounded more desperate, maps were redrawn almost daily. One evening, the commander gathered them without ceremony. He spoke softly, as if saving his own strength. Whatever happens next, remember you did your duty. No speeches, no applause, just quiet recognition. That night, Anna walked outside alone. Snowflakes drifted down slowly, covering tracks that had filled the ground all day. For the first time in months, the sky felt calm. She thought about the beginning, the train station, the nervous smiles, the belief that war was something distant. Now those memories felt like another lifetime. A faint sound reached her, laughter from inside the building. Some of the women were sharing stories from home, trying to remember normal life. The sound was fragile, but real, and that's when she understood something important. The war had taken certainty away from them, but it had also shown their strength. Not the strength people talked about in propaganda or speeches, but quiet strength. The kind that kept radios running during chaos. The kind that stayed calm when others panicked. The kind that endured long after the noise ended. Days later, rumors spread that the fighting was moving farther away. Some dared to hope the end might be close. As they packed equipment for yet another move, Anna looked back at the station one last time. No dramatic goodbye, No final announcement, just footprints fading into snow. The women climbed into the trucks again, unsure of where they would go next, but no longer afraid of what they might face, because they had already crossed that line. The engines started, the convoy moved forward, and behind them silence returned, quiet, cold, and endless.